Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Subnautica Survival Guide. So today I was thinking, and it's always a horrible idea when I do that, but I was thinking, this life pod is kinda small. And with the habitat builder we found last episode, we should be able to build ourselves something bigger for when we choose to expand our search for materials. But first, it looks like we have another message coming in from our radio, so let's go see what it says.
Aurora, this is Sunbeam again. We just picked up a massive debris field at your location. I didn't know how many of you... I didn't know. We're now en route to your location. We're gonna bring you home. Sunbeam out. What else can I say? The only time I parked a rig this big on a rock that small was in VR. And I blew it. It's a bad option, alright, but so are all the others.
Again, you'll be getting messages from him around this point in the campaign, and they aren't worth thinking about now, but in a little while they'll be fairly important, so don't forget about him in the back of your mind. So in order to start work on our starter base, we need to first understand how the habitat builder works. Starting with the first tab, we can find all the foundational elements, like your eye compartments, X compartments, glass compartments, and more. You might notice this grayed out panel for the multi-purpose room, and you'll be able to unlock it by going to a place we'll talk about in a future episode. Next up is the power sources. I've only unlocked the solar panel so far, as well as the base-attached air pump, but there are other ways to power a base that we can discuss in detail later, once we've unlocked their respective blueprints. Here's a tab that currently just holds the ladder, but will be used for more later. And here's the tab with all the utility stations like the fabricator, radio, and storage compartments. There's also an aquarium in here, but that can't be utilized until we have a multi-purpose room. And lastly, we have the miscellaneous tab. This is where all the random blueprints you find will go, like the sign and trash can. You'll use this for decorating your base a lot. Now it's important to know that the Habitat Builder's menu won't show every blueprint in the game, only the ones listed in building and decorating a base. If you want a full list of all your blueprints, check out that tab of the PDA, which we covered in a previous episode. The first major step to getting started on building a base is resource gathering. The main material you're going to be gathering a lot of is titanium, since you'll need it for a lot of exterior and interior units. I think this should be a decent amount of titanium to get us started, but we'll definitely need more in the future. I'll now take enough to fill my inventory, and then I'll head off to build a base. I think a great place to settle down is in the grassy plateau, just outside the radiation zone. I really like this small area over here, and I think it'll have just enough room to fit what I'm hoping to build. Ooh, a laser cutter fragment. We'll be needing that later. To place something down with the Habitat Builder, you first open the UI and hit the left-hand button when you've hovered over the thing you're looking to build, and then you have that item in front of you where you can place it down anywhere you want by using the left-hand button, as long as the model glows green. So now we have a small habitat, but we can't enter it yet. We can fix that fairly quickly by placing a hatch onto one of the ends of this eye compartment. Now we can enter this base. The problem is, we won't be able to breathe inside our base because we haven't set up a power source. Let's go do that now. So the best source of power early game is the solar panel, because it produces free power for your base as long as you're fairly close to the surface, as they get less and less powerful the further down you go. But as you can see, now that we've put one onto our base, we now have the ability to refill our oxygen meter inside. All that's left now is to put in a fabricator, and bam! This place already feels like home. And if I ever feel like expanding, I can just put another compartment next to the one we already have, and now we've just doubled the size of our base. But I don't really want that compartment there, so I'm going to deconstruct it quickly before we start on the big base. Because, surprise, this eye compartment is just going to be a temporary home for us while we build our starter base. I just have it here so I have a place to refill my oxygen and craft items without having to move from this general area. So with that out of the way, let's talk about one of the most important elements to keep in mind while building, and that is your base strength. Base strength is super important to keep in mind while building, because most elements you add to your base will decrease your strength, and if it ever drops to 0, your base will flood. All bases start with a strength of 10. One great way to avoid a flood is to build your base on top of foundation, which will increase its strength, as you can see in the top left corner right after constructing it. The other way to keep large bases from imploding is to build reinforcements inside them, which require lithium that we haven't found yet. I did want to bring this up though. And with that, I think we're ready to build this base as much as we can with our current resources. So I'll head off camera, and when I come back, hopefully we'll have something better than this to call home. Well, folks, I'm not far into building this, and I'm already out of titanium. This is going to be a tougher build than I thought. And it looks like I've built on the edge of the radiation zone. How inconvenient. Luckily, when the Aurora exploded, we unlocked the blueprint for the radiation suit, which, as the name implies, protects us from taking damage from the radiation. I was going to wait to make this, but I think this is a better time. The only thing to remember with the radiation suit is that it only works if you wear the suit, helmet, and gloves all at once. Taking off any of them will expose you to the radiation once again. Alright folks, looks like it's time to take apart the temporary base. It had a good run, but I think I'm ready to move into the bigger one now. We've got our hatch on the door and everything. It's official. But I think that's enough exterior work for today, so let's talk about interior decoration. First things first, your base is a great place to store all those materials clogging up your inventory, using some of these wall lockers. These things cost just 2 titanium to make, and they offer a small storage solution for the early game. You can give each locker a unique name so that you know which one has your titanium in it, for example. In an ideal world, you would have 1 or 2 lockers for each item in the game, but sometimes you have to consolidate down to, say, a food chest or a metal chest, although do be wary when you do this that you don't get too vague with your categories, or your storage system will just become a chest monster. And we don't want that, now do we? Well, looks like our titanium locker is basically empty, so I'm gonna have to go looking for some more metal salvage. But that'll have to wait until another time, because unfortunately that is all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and check out some of my other videos. You won't regret it. With that, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.